Deconverted Man here?
It's Deconverted Man.
Deconverted Man here.
Hey everybody, while we were scared and hiding in our houses, DM and I decided, hey, we might as well do a collaboration, so here we go. This is a video from a channel called Towards Eternity with another crazy Muslim who really doesn't seem to know how the world really works. So we're going to rip his ass a new one. Enjoy!
Hi, and today we're going to talk about the greatest challenge that was ever made.
It would be a great challenge if you have the courage to accept it.
Why is it that these people seem convinced that atheists have a problem with any of their silly challenges? We've done so many of these questions atheists can't answer videos, and we never actually have found a single question that atheists cannot, answer. What they really mean is, here are questions that they don't like the answers that atheists provide, so they're just going to pretend that we can't do it at all. And it's really kind of sad, isn't it?
This is such a challenge that even though it's hundreds of years old, and even though winning it can cause massive changes worldwide, no one was able to win it.
Except absolutely everyone who even gave it a shot. I have no idea what this challenge even is, and I'm sure I'll be able to come up with an answer. I have no doubt whatsoever that I can do it. I also have no doubt that our Muslim apologist here will entirely ignore everything that any atheist actually has to say. Let's find out if I'm right.
I want you to think of a trial. You're being sued, and if you lose a trial, you will lose everything you have. Your money, your honor.
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 Oh no, not honor.
For honor!
Your dignity, your position, anything you can think of.
Your life? I can think of an awful lot. Now, I'm not clear on why I'm on trial here. I'm not sure that it matters, but what's really important to the outcome is whether or not I actually did what I'm accused of doing. It might not necessarily mean that justice is going to be done, but all I care about personally is whether or not I am factually guilty of the crime, whatever that might happen to be. I'm suspecting that our theist here, they won't care about that at all. Let's see.
When you're in that critical position, the complainant offers you a deal. They tell you that if you can write 2 easy sentences about your innocence, you will be saved.
The criminal justice system doesn't work that way, sorry. Of course, this isn't about actually being on trial. It's just a ham-fisted attempt at making a point that he can then twist into some theological idea that will just make no sense whatsoever. But sure, let's play along. Even if I could get out of the trial by writing 2 sentences about my innocence, guess what? That doesn't mean that I'm actually innocent. Or guilty, for that matter. It just means that I can write 2 sentences and make whatever claims I feel will benefit my case the most. Whether or not it is a complete fairy tale is largely irrelevant. Not sure how this helps.
You will gain back everything that is at risk. Would you write those 2 sentences, or would you try other ways?
Depends on what other ways are open to me. Because in a trial, at least where I am, I have no idea where this guy is, but here, I am innocent until proven guilty. I don't have to prove that I didn't do it. The other party has to prove that I did. All I have to do is poke holes in their case and hope the jury doesn't find that their claims are compelling. So, sure, I might do that, depending on how strong I thought the opposition's case was against me.
And when I say other ways, I mean very difficult and risky tasks like bribing the judge and the jury, trying to assassinate the complainants. You wouldn't. And nobody would, unless writing those sentences is impossible.
If it's impossible to do, then you're not really being offered any sort of deal. If you're told that you can get off of all these charges if you write down 2 sentences that are simple, but those sentences are also impossible to write down, then they're not simple, they're impossible. Your own analogy fails.
Then it's a good thing that's not how trials actually work, isn't it? As I said at the start, all of this is just nonsense, thrown out in a feeble attempt to make a point that doesn't really make any sense to begin with. I wouldn't bribe the judge or kill the opposition. That's not how trials work, and since I'm almost certainly not guilty of anything to begin with, why would I go to those extremes when the trial process itself is on the side of the innocent? Not unless the whole system was skewed against innocent people like, I don't know, the trials given to heretics in Muslim-majority countries and the like. But I don't think he'll want to make that comparison, will he?
And if you're in doubt about what we have sent down upon our servant Muhammad, then produce a surah the like thereof, and call upon your witnesses other than Allah, if you should be truthful. Say, if mankind and the jinn gathered in order to produce the like of this Qur'an, they could not produce the like of it, even if they were to each other's assistants.
Anyone could write a bunch of drivel like the Qur'an, or the Bible, or the Enuma Elish, or the Vedas, or whatever else. Writing nonsense isn't that hard. If Tolkien can write Lord of the Rings, L. Ron Hubbard can write Scientology. You just have to find suckers stupid and gullible enough to believe it. And that's not that hard to do. Sorry if that says something not at all flattering about you.
So here's the crux of this incoherent, quote, challenge, end quote, that is impossible to do, is the vagueness of the word like. What do you mean, like it? Do you mean exactly like it? What does that mean? How does this challenge work? Are you gonna... No, he's not gonna answer any of those questions, is he?
Qur'an made a challenge 1400 years ago. It claimed that the gods of the pagans at that time, or any other gods, were not truly gods.
It claimed. It didn't prove. It didn't provide evidence. It just made an assertion, both about the gods in competing religions and about the God that Muslims worshipped. Claims don't mean a thing. We're not impressed with claims, and by we, I mean rational people. Just because it says something in your silly book, that doesn't make it true. And I know I say this a lot, but it's something that needs to be stressed because the religious, they can't get it through their tiny little heads. I don't care what you believe. I care what you can prove. I care what you can back up with objectively demonstrable and verifiable evidence. Unfortunately for you people, you have none of that. All you can do is repeat, but it says so in my book. Okay, so what? But it says so in my book. Repeat ad nauseum.
It belittled their gods and religion and claimed that there is no God but Allah.
That's your claim. Claims mean nothing without external validation. Got any of that? Yeah, I didn't think so. Anyone can make any claims they want. I'm sure those primitive religions believed that their gods were real too, and that your God was imaginary. How does that make the claims of the Qur'an any better or more verifiable than theirs? Please explain that to the class.
It told everyone about the afterlife and warned them about hell, and threatens everyone who chooses to disbelieve by saying that if this Qur'an is right, they will lose their honor, their money, their loved ones, because when they die, all of that will leave them.
And this unsupported claim means what exactly? I'm glad you have a bunch of claims, but they don't get you anywhere until you can prove that they are actually true in the real world. That's kind of where you people fall down, isn't it? You can't prove much of anything. Now, if our theist here were making this video for the non-religious, having any understanding whatsoever of the kind of things that we expect in order to take their claims seriously, he wouldn't be saying any of this. Then again, he wouldn't be talking to the non-religious at all, would he? Like every other apologist out there, he's making a video for people who already believe so they can just feel justified in their beliefs. This isn't proof of anything. It's just pushing mindless beliefs that don't actually get you anywhere useful. Welcome to religious apologetics, folks.
It also threatened their reign by saying that Islam will overcome it. Then, it offered them a challenge. It said, if you're in doubt, bring a surah like it. Even the way that challenge was made is proof that it can never be imitated.
No, it's proof that it's a nonsensical challenge. Because what are the guidelines that we have to go by in order to test this challenge? Who gets to decide if the competition are like the Qur'an? People who believe in the Qur'an? Well, that's hardly a fair challenge, is it? Because if you ask Christians, for instance, well, which is better, the Qur'an or the Bible? Guess which one is going to win? Or if you ask Hindus, their own books will invariably be judged to be superior. Or if you ask Scientologists, Dianetics will win every single time. You have to find some kind of independent arbiter, and I'm sure none of the parties involved would ever agree to that. If this is the best challenge that your silly god could come up with, a simple dick-waving contest that absolutely no one can objectively defend, then your religion is even more absurd than I thought.
It's like saying, come on, I don't want its true meaning from you. Let it be fabrications and lies and false tales.
Yet, there's no way to verify that the Qur'an isn't lies and fabrications and superstitious nonsense in the first place, so all you're doing is pointing fingers and pretending that you are blameless. Again, this is all just an exercise in overactive egos, not any challenge that has an objectively defensible winner. And for some reason, you think this will impress anyone. Yeah, think again.
Hey, someone wrote this thing called the True for Qur'an, but they were literate, so I guess we have to find somebody that is illiterate to write the True for Qur'an. But then that thing isn't considered to be the thing that actually succeeds at this non-challenge, so I guess then we just move the goalpost.
You will not be able to do this, so it doesn't need to be the whole Quran either. Just make 10 surahs like it. You won't be able to do this either, so just bring one surah. But that will be too much as well, so alright, make it equivalent of a short surah.
You can make it a Dick and Jane book for children. It doesn't matter. When you get to make the rules and play judge, jury, and executioner, it's not a worthy contest to begin with. It's a sham, nothing more. This is what happens when you believe irrationally, when you start with an emotionally comforting conclusion that you're absolutely going to reach no matter what you have to do. This is not how rational people operate. You can't choose your destination and then plot your route to get there and think that somehow everything magically led you to that one spot. It's why nothing the religious do is at all impressive.
Let someone who cannot read or write, like Muhammad, peace be upon him, bring a short surah forged like the Quran. You will not be able to.
So, are you saying that Muhammad couldn't have written the Quran? Or, since he was ignorant and illiterate, he couldn't have dictated it? Because, you know, that's exactly what you believe happened. It was supposedly recorded by scribes after Muhammad's death, recounting exactly what Muhammad said to them. Now, you're doubting that Muhammad could have actually done that. Seems kinda contradictory to me.
So let that person be one of your best poets. He still won't be able to do it, so take all of your poets, every human being, and bring a short surah, forged like it. He will not be able to do this either, although the need for you to do is so great for your honor, self-respect, your dignity, the idols you believe in, your religion, your tribal honor and pride, your life and property, and your afterlife will be saved by producing the like of it.
That assumes that most of that is even real, which, again, it's up to you to back up, and you don't even seem to give it a good faith effort. This goes back to the unfortunate reality that the religious, for some reason, are convinced that everyone is just like they are. Everyone is irrational, operating on faith, concerned with a farcical afterlife, gives a damn about tribal honor or any of that crap. Well, newsflash for you, bucko. We don't. We just don't. None of that means a damn thing to us. You're living in your own little theological bubble with no clue what goes on in the real world outside. How sad is that?
I don't think I've ever seen such a great example of circular reasoning than this so-called challenge. Hey, look, the book says that no one can do this, and you could try, but you can't do it because it says that no one can do it. Well, then it's not a challenge. Right, exactly, because no one can do it. But then how is it a challenge? Aha! You see, you tried to do it, but you can't, because it says you can't do it. Exactly. It's not a challenge then. Right! Yeah, that proves it's true. What? That doesn't prove anything!
Otherwise, in this world, you will remain in abasement. Without honor, dignity, religion, pride, your lives and property will perish, and you won't have a good afterlife.
Sorry, but I'm doing just fine with the parts on that list that actually matter or exist. The rest, well, who cares? There's no reason to think that there is an afterlife. I have no interest in any religion or any of that tribal honor crap, and that's just laughable on its face. But atheists, at least in the first world where it matters, tend to be much better off than the religious. Statistically, we're better educated, we have better jobs, and we are far more rational. All of the objective indicators are in our favor. All you have is faith. What the hell's wrong with you?
They still couldn't. So instead of answering it with 2 or 3 lines, they started wars to stop our Prophet, tried to assassinate him, tried to poison him, etc.
I never did any of that. But then again, I'm not part of the religion of violence. You know, the ones responsible for the overwhelming majority of terrorist attacks on the planet. The ones with the massive body count. You know, in January of this year alone, just January, Islamic terrorists killed 263 people. That's in 1 month, and just in recognized terrorist attacks. And that's pretty much a monthly thing. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people die every year because of the asinine things that you believe. I'm really sorry that you're proud of that and that you blame others for going after your pedophile prophet. You're really missing the point.
They couldn't answer with words, so they were forced to answer with the sword.
And suicide vests and rocket attacks and machetes. Yeah, for some reason, Muslim terrorists really love their machetes. I think it's because nobody in their right mind will let them close to an airplane anymore. That's some pretty good advice.
With this, the wise Qur'an has challenged and silenced them not for 23 years, but for 1,400.
It's not so much the Quran silencing people, it's the bloodthirsty modern followers of the Quran that have been doing that. Now, to be fair, that's not all of them by any means because secular society simply doesn't permit it. You don't find a lot of murderous Muslims in the West, for instance. Those people almost always are transplants from places where Sharia law holds sway, and people actually take your silly book seriously. Places where heresy laws exist and people are executed for daring not to believe your mind poison. That also seems to be something that far too many Muslims are proud of.
In the 14th centuries that Qur'an existed, it challenged mankind with many things,
none of which are rationally or objectively defensible, intellectually valid, or demonstrable in anything remotely resembling objective evidence. It challenged people with empty claims, magical thinking, and brute force. Not sure why this is something that you should approve of.
and all of them are still out there for anyone who wants to refute Islam. This challenge is still out there.
Done and done. Because it's not a valid challenge at all. The burden of proof still remains on your shoulders to prove that any of the ridiculous things you believe are actually true. When do you think you're going to be getting around to doing any of that? Next week? Next year? Never? Yeah, that's what I thought.
If anyone was to come with a book that was like the Quran, the whole Islamic world would have perished. The whole case of Islam would have been refuted.
That's not how things work, though. Because when you think about it, if you think that the Quran is so great, then why didn't it end all of the other competing religions? Without you people having to murder them wholesale. Why hasn't Christianity and Buddhism and Hinduism and all the rest just died off and the entire planet turned Muslim? Why are you people so violent? Why are there so many fanatics on your side? Why do you feel that you have to kill the opposition instead of having them just be magically convinced by the brilliance of your silly book of mythology? Because that isn't happening. Just thought you should know.
Everything Muhammad, peace be upon him, stands for would have been debunked.
Why do you think that it hasn't all been debunked already? Because you still believe it? Because it makes you feel good to think that it's true? Well, here's a news flash for you. Feelings don't matter. Only facts do. You haven't demonstrated that any of the supernatural claims contained within the Quran are demonstrable facts, backed up by verifiable evidence. What you see as claims that haven't been debunked, I see as lies that you're just too gullible to give up on. At the end of the day, this won't be decided by faith or fanaticism or how much it makes you feel good to believe that you're right. It will come down to evidence, and I think we all know you got jack shit.
But the challenge has been out there for 1400 years, and it will always be. Is it at all possible that while there was an easy solution like disputing it, a book which says to all the people of Mecca, if you don't believe you shall go to hell, with 1 or 2 lines and nullifying the claim, they should have chosen the most dangerous and the most difficult, the way of war.
We didn't choose war. You did. But you notice what he's doing, and it's the same thing that all theists do. He's just assuming that everything in his favored big book of multiple choice, well, it all just has to be true, and there's no point to even questioning it. People have to prove it wrong. He doesn't have to prove it right. It's automatically perfect until someone can discredit it. And even if they do, so long as he can rationalize a solution around the errors, well, it's all perfect once again. This is like talking to a child with an imaginary friend. It's an exercise in utter futility.
When you subscribe to the ethics of DCT, Divine Command Theory, you put yourself in a position where your beliefs cannot be wrong because they come from God, and God can never be wrong. So there's nothing that anyone could say or write that would actually change your mind because you have God, and God is correct. That leaves the only option to be war. Either they have to capture you or they have to kill you to stop you from doing what you want to do, which is conquer everybody that's not part of your tribe. Because you're right, and it says you're right in your book. Therefore, you must be right because your book was written by God. Oh, and by the way, it says no other religion is true, so go ahead and kill all of them unless they're able to produce a book like this. And by the way, they'll try, but they can't do it, so that makes this book true. Did I mention that the book said that it's true? Now go kill those people. That's what brings war to the table, is belief in something that you cannot challenge. A belief in God being unchallengeable, leads to war.
Keep in mind that the people of Mecca were really proud of their poetry. They would choose the best poems and write them in gold letters to hang them on the Great Mosque of Mecca. They would especially use gold to write those poems because poetry was the thing in that age and everyone was really into poetry.
And, I'm kind of hoping you're going to eventually find your way to a point somewhere down the line. I'm really not concerned with anything that happens in Mecca. You might want to try to get back to the discussion at hand. You're just losing it.
It was their YouTube, their social media, but they couldn't even match the challenge made.
So let me ask you this. How do you know that? Where did you get that information, and how did you test it to find out if it is factually correct? How do you know that 20 minutes after the original scribes cranked out the first version of the Qur'an, someone didn't come along and completely blow it out of the water, only to be brutally murdered as a heretic by the fanatics? Because you're not giving us any means to test your statements. You're just presenting them as though they must be factually true without making any effort to prove that they are. Again, the only judge of your challenge are the people who are already emotionally invested in the idea that the Quran is correct. It could have been met thousands and thousands of times over the years. Just because you refuse to accept it, that doesn't mean a damn thing.
So, they chose the way of war, but to be honest, I cannot blame them.
I mean, look at how Muslims in the Middle East operate today. Tribal animals murdering everyone they don't like, including their family members, over childish things like family honor and religious adherence. This is apparently what impresses you. Yeah, allow me to roll my eyes.
Because they understood that the other way is impossible.
No, what's impossible is getting a fanatic to accept anything outside of their already fanatical beliefs. It isn't impossible to blow a million holes through your silly faith. It is just impossible to get you to acknowledge that we've done so. It's a comedy of bad expectations on your part. Good thing we can see right through you.
1400 years of history confirms this in its own way. History is our witness, and no one will be able to change that.
Not in your mind, at least, any more than Christians will ever accept that they have no good reason to believe the silly stories in the Bible, or that Scientologists will ever realize that the whole idea of Thetans is asinine. It's why trying to reason with the inherently unreasonable is such a complete waste of time. You come up with a challenge, yet you can offer no conceivable way for the opposition to ever complete it. Then you use your refusal to see anything outside of your current beliefs as valid as proof that you were right all along. If this is the best you can do, and sadly we know that it is, then I have no idea what to tell you. If you think that you're going to impress anyone outside of your silly magical club, I must sadly report that you are mistaken. The rest of us out here in rational land think that you're out of your ever-loving mind. Why don't you produce a couple of sentences showing us where we're wrong? Don't worry, we'll wait.
Bitchspot blog has a lot more to offer on this particular video, and you can go check out his video in full in the description below. Go ahead and like it and subscribe and tell him that he's awesome, but that I'm more awesome. and then like my video more because I need more people and likes. And if you can't produce a video like this, then you're not cool, and you're not true, and history will be my witness. And the only way I'll ever change my mind is for war. But then, like, you could write something that was like this video, but you can't do it. So, like, then war is bad. See, you chose war, and that proves that I'm right, because you can't make a video like this. You see, it's true because you can't make it that it's not true, and that's what I said. It's so true. It's that it's true, and you can't prove that it's not true, because I said that it's true, and that nobody can prove that it's not true. That means that it's true. You get it? No? Okay, well, there you go. And if you try to fight me, then that means I'm right. So don't try to fight me. Just accept that it's true, and I won't be changed by when you say it's not true, because it's true. By the way, did I say that it's true? And if you fight me, it's also true. If you don't fight me, it's true. And if you try to change my mind, that makes it true, because it said that you'll try to change my mind, and that makes it true because I'm true. And then the true and the true and the true. Also true. Bitchspot blog. Bitchspot blog here. Bitchspot blah 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 blah. Spot blah blah blah. Speed. I'm a lion. I'll make a good opening for him. I'm gonna include that in the video. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care anymore. Yeah.
Bum